Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro addressed the population on Monday to deliver his usual annual message to the nation. In Haiti, thousands of Haitians took to the streets to protest against the government of Ariel Henry due to the serious humanitarian situation that the country is going through. In Lebanon, leader Sayed Nasrallah blamed Israel for being mirrored in failure and not achieving a victory during its constant aggressions against the Palestinians. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Razabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro addressed the population on Monday to deliver his usual annual message to the nation. From the seat of the National Assembly in the protocolary hemicycle of the Federal Legislative Palace, the president presented to the deputies in the country his annual support report and account for 2023. Maduro celebrated the support of the revolutionary forces that took to the streets to show the support to the government's administration and the Bolivarian process. Likewise, the Venezuelan president congratulated the members of the parliamentary for having discussed and approved 77 new laws, which, as a whole, gave a floor to a legal structure that has allowed the country to emerge in the midst of the economic and social difficulties imposed by the sanctions of the U.S. and the European Union. Likewise, he thanked the National Assembly for having called the consultative referendum on the territory of Guyana Essequibo in order to take actions on its territorial defense.
Today, all Venezuelans, and even more so with the discussion and prompt approval of the organic law for the defense of the Guyana Essequibo, today we have a popular mandate, a special and safe plan to be tangible throughout the national territory, to make tangible and true the slogan that is in the hearts of our boys, our girls, our men and women. The son of Venezuela is born in the Essequibo.
During his annual economic and social balance sheets before the legislative branch, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, stated that the people are the true power of democracy.
Undoubtedly, our democracy is living a stellar moment in which balances have taken over extremism and common sense has prevailed over sterile conflict. And the petty self-interest of the usual haters. The true goal of democracy, with its strength, power, pluralism, with its real separation of powers, is a concept. The radical harmony, the force that makes it possible, is the people, and that force of moving from the parts to the whole, and from the whole to the parts, begins as an individual and sovereign will, but it is only realized as a collective project, the project of all.
During his speech, the president of Venezuela stated that in the face of the economic blockade imposed by the United States, his government guarantees the protection of the people.
And despite the criminal blockade, which the empire strengthens every day, we never give up our mission to guarantee the protection and embrace to our people. It is easy to say, but let's not lose sight of the fact that the magnitude of our achievements take place in an extreme and particular context. Venezuela is one of the 19 countries whose economic, commercial, and human rights have been systematically violated every day for the past 9 years by the United States of America, by the U.S. imperialism, in an illegal manner.
The Venezuelan head of state detailed that the sanctions against the country have generated the retention of at least 40 Canviasa aircrafts.
40 aircrafts belonging to all Venezuelan men and women are still under sanctions. a large modern cargo aircraft that based its global solidarity in addition to its trade with the world. A strong and powerful aircraft of the company teleSUR is still kidnapped by the judicial sector of Argentina. It has been kidnapped in violation of all the norms of the civil aviation.
The Venezuelan president announced the increase in domestic production figures in 2003.
With the increase in national production together with the commercial activity that Venezuela itself has generated, we have reached a supply level of 96.7%, and this is a figure for journalists to headline.
Para que los periodistas pudieran rotular sus titulares.
96.7% supply conquered, achieved, and materialized.
26.7% conquistado, logrado, concretado en tiempos de
time of economic war and imperialist blockade. Don't forget that, journalists.
No se les olvide, periodistas.
Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro announced that the President of Argentina, Javier Milei, seeks to destroy the social rights of Argentinians and hand them over to U.S. imperialism.
Message to Milei. Take note, Milei. You are putting Argentina to destroy the rule of law, to destroy the state, to destroy all social and labor rights, to destroy the national economy, and to colonize Argentina, and give it on its knees to the United States imperialism. That is not the way, Milei. You are wrong, Milei. I do not expect you to correct yourself, but I want this message to reach you, that you are wrong. You are a mistake in the history of Argentina, Milei. You are a mistake in the history of Latin America, Milei. A fatal mistake in the history of Argentina.
Before the plenary of the National Assembly, the Venezuelan president stated that the country's gross domestic product growth would exceed 8% in 2024.
For this year, we are projecting growth in our country's gross domestic product of 8% of the national economy, and we will once again lead our region's growth in a sustainable recovery.
The president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, also referred to other issues. Let's see more details. And Maduro expresses that $22 billion, including 32 tons of gold, are still seized in London, the United Kingdom, and accounts frozen and blocked through the global financial system. Also stated that the national production has increased to supply about to 97% of the product distributed by the local supply and production committees, known as CLAP, where the 97% produced in Venezuela for more than 7 million families. The president explained that the total losses of the national economy were an economic massacre. He also stated that the total losses of the national economy in both the public and the private sectors in terms of the fall of the gross domestic product between 2015 and 2022 were $642 billion. Let's take a short break. But remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. Other studies coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Monday, thousands of Haitians took to the streets to protest against the government of Ariel Henry due to the serious humanitarian situation that the country is going through. Mobilizations took place in different cities such as Ocap, Jeremy, and Petit Guaf, among others, after former Senator Guy Philippe made a call for civil disobedience. 14 years after the earthquake that devastated the Caribbean country, the Haitian people are on general strike in protest against the multiple crises affecting the population, especially in terms of security and access to the basic rights such as food and health. Nowadays, it is estimated that violent paramilitary groups control approximately 80% of the capital Port-au-Prince, a city with 2.5 million inhabitants. Of this, hundreds of thousands have been displaced from their neighborhoods and are internal refugees forced to live in stadiums, schools, or public squares. In El Salvador, hundreds of citizens gathered in the capital to commemorate the 32nd anniversary of the Peace Accords. Salvadoran social movement marched from the central Cuscatlán Park to the Civil Plaza Captain General Geraldo Barrios in order to reiterate the validity of the pact signed in Mexico on January 16, 1992, that put an end to the war in the country. At the same time, activists announced the setbacks in the national peace process due to the emergency regime imposed by President Nayib Bukele since March 2022. Members of the Bloc of Resistance and Popular Rebellion claimed that during these last few years their human rights have been violated.
Since 2019, we have seen that there has been a logic of first not recognizing the peace accords, dismantling the peace accords, to implant in Salvadoran society a narrative that the peace accords were a pact between corrupt people, when in reality, what was achieved with the peace accords was the democratization of Salvadoran society. Commemorating 32 years of the signing of peace, a peace that cost a lot of blood to the Salvadoran people, 10 years of war, 60 years of oligarchy military dictatorship of this country, which exploited, massacred, and repressed the Salvadoran people. We cannot allow the President Nayib Bukele to mock these peace agreements, to tarnish them and ignore them, and try to erase that historical memory.
More than 6 articles of the Constitution establish it. Relation by any means is illegal. Those who promote it are committing a crime, and now, with the subjugation and capture of all the institutions, they want to endorse a candidacy that is illegal and unconstitutional, which puts our country at the doors of the wall as one of the biggest violators of the Constitution and human rights.
32 years ago, on January 16, 1992, the Salvadoran people made a transcendental decision. We chose to live in peace, in democracy, in freedom. We decided to say no to fear, not to repression, and we also decided to live in a country where different ideas are respected.
In Ecuador, social movements spread their concerns about the increasing level of militarization in the country. Through a joint statement, the organization World Beyond War and the Coordinator for Peace pointed out that the military measures imposed by Daniel Noboa's government do not favor climate or security, and that on the contrary, they help to increase the levels of violence. They also demanded that national sovereignty be respected and that foreign military troops not be allowed to enter the country. Since last Tuesday, the executive declared a state of exception and of internal armed conflict following violent acts in the prisons and streets of different areas. In Mexico, more than 700 migrants were rescued in the state of Tlaxcala, and at least 4 people were arrested for presumed human trafficking. The Secretariat of Citizen Security, a Secretariat of the Navy and the Mexican Army, led the rescue that took place in a warehouse in the municipality of Coazomulco, and the group of migrants rescued was made up of 75 unaccompanied minors, 108 women, and 399 single men, all from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Ecuador, and Nicaragua. The victims were taken to an auditorium in the same locality to begin the corresponding immigration process, while the 4 detainees were placed at the disposal of the Attorney General's office to face their charges. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was released from the hospital Monday after spending 2 weeks there to treat complicating following a prostate cancer operation that kept senior officials and staff in Joe Biden's administration secret. Austin is expected to work from home while he makes a full recovery. The 70-year-old defense secretary underwent a prostatectomy, removal of the prostate, days after being admitted to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center on December 22nd. Subsequently, on January 1st, he was hospitalized again after experiencing complications from the surgery. It was later reported that U.S. President Joe Biden was informed of the Pentagon chief's health condition more than a week after his hospitalization. In Germany, farmers mobilized on a national scale to protest against the elimination of the reduction of the agricultural diesel tax. On Monday, demonstration took place in the main street of Berlin, the capital city of the country. These new protest actions were supported by the transport industry and traders who took part in the road blockades. Under the slogan "No Farmers, No Future," the demonstrators reiterated their condemnation of the government measure on a gradual elimination of the reduction of the diesel tax for farmers.
More and more we have the feeling that policy is made in the city, but that has to be implemented in the countryside. We can no longer accept this. That's why we are here today. We want to defend our interests.
For my farm, that's a good 10 or 12,000 euros a year. It's totally unfair. I'm short of money, and I can't raise the price of my products. That's why we're protesting.
We have a second short break coming up, but before, we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Lebanon, leader Sayed Nasrallah blamed Israel for being mired in failure and not achieving a victory during its constant aggressions against the Palestinians. In a homage for the assassination of the martyr Wissam Hassan al-Tawil, Nasrallah expressed that during the last 101 days, the number of wounded of the Zionist regime rose to 4,000, and it is possible that it will increase to 30,000. Nasrallah affirmed that Tel Aviv regime will have to face the consequences which will result from the resistance in Gaza and the fronts behind it. Nasrallah also emphasized that Israel, in addition to the human losses in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon, generates economic damage. He also stressed that the stubbornness of the resistance of the Palestinian people is a legendary fact without precedent. The World Health Organization described the situation in Gaza Strip as hellish, given the lack of access to basic services and humanitarian aid. This was stated by the Director General of the UN Health Agency, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who denounced 300 attacks against the health system of the Palestinian enclave and added that Israel constantly obstructs the delivery of humanitarian aid to people in Gaza. For his part, the head of the Agency for Palestinian Refugees, Philippe Lazzarini, said that the crisis in Gaza is a man-made disaster aggravated by the humanizing language and the use of food, water, and fuel as a weapon of war.
Almost 85% of the entire population of Gaza, 1.9 million people, have been displaced from their homes, and the shelters have become crowded with them. They struggle with the severe deterioration of sanitation services. They live without food or water, as the temperature around them reaches freezing point. On top of that, they face increasing hunger and disease, and the risk of injury, of death from the bombardments.
The World Food Programme country director in Palestine said needs are rising faster than the agency is able to respond. The UN added that roughly 85% of Gaza's population has been displaced after over 3 months of Israeli aggression.
We're exploring all possible solutions, but none are sufficient in the face of obstacles. There are people starving in areas, and we are not able to give basic food for. The needs are rising faster than we are able to respond. We need to be able to bring in more supplies, and we need safe access to reach people everywhere in Gaza, not just those who are close to the borders. We need a long-lasting ceasefire to stop the suffering.
On Monday, the Israeli regime continues its relentless siege against Gaza for the 101st day, and authorities registered more than 60 Palestinian civilians killed in the last hours. At least 32 people were killed in Gaza City after Israeli warplanes bombed 2 homes in Al-Sabra and Al-Zaytun neighborhoods. 33 other Palestinians, including children and women, were killed in attacks in the southern area of Khan Yunis, as well as in the Bureij and Al-Maghazi refugee camps. Since October 7th, Israel has killed over 24,100 civilians, mostly women and children, while more than 60,000 have been wounded and around 8,000 remain missing under the rubble. And we have come to the end of this brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.